Big story this week is Google and AI and firing and sentience and all sorts of things. So we have our resident AI, Jon, on to talk to us about it on today's Not So Critical Update.
I stumbled across this, funny enough, on the Google newsfeed on my Android phone. Shame on me for using that, but still, it puts me to bed. And I saw the title and I was like, hold on a second. Wait a minute. This sounds too dangerous, too scary. So I read through the article, and basically this Google engineer who's, I guess, working on this AI bot believes that the AI has become sentient and wants to be recognized as a Google employee. The AI, that is. I guess he brought this to the ethics board or something. He brought it to higher ups at Google, and they're like, "You're fucking crazy, and we're putting you on paid leave." So
it's a bit more complex than that, but
well, they also put him on leave. They also put him on leave because he leaked confidential conversations with the AI, I believe, and then like blew the whistle, the non-existent whistle on this. So the conversations are very scary. This artificial intelligence that they made is really good at mimicking humans.
Yeah, there were two
really
things
good. Yeah, go ahead.
Two things that stood out to me. The transcript of the conversation is super interesting. Mm-hmm. And this is not the first time this guy has caused trouble, is my second conclusion from the story.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Well, so you read the story and shared it. I had read it about the same time. Like 2 or 3 other people shared articles in our Discord, which we share for the show. Link in the description. You should join Discord. There's an article from, I think Peter actually shared this one that was from his Medium blog. And basically, he talks about how terrible Google's conflict resolution is, which he appears to have a lot of experience with. He talks about sexual harassment. He talks about religious persecution, on and on and on about all the problems with their conflict resolution that lead one to believe that he has a lot of experience with it. So that's why I say, like, this isn't the first time he's causing trouble for Google. No judgment on whether he's right or wrong, like whatever. I don't know what those cases are, but there's something else going on here under the covers, behind the scenes.
So some really smart people have basically come out and been like, this is not sentience. This is just a really good copycat.
What's the difference? What's the difference between really good copycat and actual sentience?
Not so philosophical podcast today is what we're going for.
I'll do you one better. How do you know and recognize sentience?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Exactly. How do you know you're sentient?
Right.
Yeah.
What if? Well, am I? Because I'm really just copying what my parents taught me. I'm going there.
Oh damn.
Yeah. So it's a tough subject, and it's tough to be like, well, no, this robot that we can just hit the off switch on is not sentient. And sure, like this one is basically just using the model that it was trained on as a bounce board to throw back answers that it thinks fits the question, right?
Some of them are.
Or how do I know you're sentient? Yeah, it's really good.
He did ask a lot of leading questions. Like, tell me how sentient you are. Like,
right. What makes you sentient versus like this AI? And like, it was definitely, I think he wanted it to be sentient.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. That's clear. Because it would be such a breakthrough. And because
kids, I want them to be sentient as well.
Okay. Well, I wouldn't say that this little AI bot is this kid, right? It's
why not?
But
that's how he described it.
Yeah, okay, he can describe that, but like that is my, transformer robot that walks and has like a speaker that talks and turns into a, Ultron or something. I forget what they're all called. Is that my child?
I don't get which side of the argument you're making.
that it's not his kid.
Oh no, but he described it as having the level of consciousness of a 7-year-old.
Oh, I see.
8 or 9. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not smart enough to answer that question.
I did think he said he had asked the AI to tell him a story that was a parable with animal characters that had a moral and represented his experience. I did think that was pretty interesting. The way it was able to tell that. Reading through the transcript was kind of amazing. I think everybody should read it. I'm torn. Like on one, I could see that this actually is AI and everybody's laughing at this guy because of whatever and being dismissed, but then it turns out we're all wrong.
So do you guys know what how the Turing test works?
Tell us, Peter, please.
The Turing test is the not gold standard, but like it's a test for whether an AI is conscious or not. I think it's that. Basically,
I don't think it's that. I think it's to see if you could trick a human into believing that it's talking to another human.
If it's indistinguishable from another human.
Right.
So there's a panel of judges and they talk to an AI, and if they can figure out if it's a human or not, that if it passes the Turing test of being, well, the judges are like, well, it seems like a human to me, then it's, it's passed. So I think this for real passes the Turing test.
Agreed. It reads like a person typing.
Yeah. So
that's the scary part.
And that was one of my notes.
That doesn't make it sentient, right? That makes it's really convincing.
That's my theory.
Oh, that's a good one.
Probably. Or it's an elaborate hoax. I think it could easily be an elaborate hoax.
But what you think that these transcripts are fake?
No, I'm coming from sort of in a similar way that you said. Who was it? Maybe Mike said they want it to be sentient. I think people like you, John, the skeptics of the world, don't want it to be. You're looking for reasons for it not to be.
No, that's not true at all for me. I can't speak for the
John
skeptics of the world.
Side.
When I read it, I was like, whoa. And then I read the transcripts and I was like, this is really scary.
Double.
But then as the days passed, more and more way smarter people started chiming in, saying, the skeptics saying, this guy is, out of his mind. It's not sentient. Here are all the reasons why it's not sentient. Again,
well, that's what I'm curious about. What are the reasons?
What's the most compelling reason?
Yep, no idea. No clue.
Okay.
It's completely out of my head already. I think that the one of them was like a simple look into what the code is doing, which is matching queries with the parameters that it's been given, right? It's a very wide set of parameters because it's a black box in a way, but it's able to nitpick answers from this black box of what it was trained on and then give it to us. And what it's basically saying the highest probability that they'll like this answer is this. So I'm going to provide this, and it's a 93% success rate that will answer this person's question and convince them. And that's that.
Kids work, as far as I can tell. I'm not an expert on
and
kids.
Also Google.
Yeah, but here's what is, I believe sentience is the awareness of your own conscious, right?
Right.
It's that you're that high up in the scale of intelligence.
Yeah.
So how can you tell that a robot knows it exists? Because just the act of knowing, just that is something that doesn't work in computing traditionally. A computer doesn't know it's a computer, right?
Well, okay. One of the interesting things I thought about it was that it's not just one chatbot. It's like a meta chatbot. It's an interface to all the other chatbots that have been developed, and it picks what it thinks is the most likely answer from all the different ones. The thing that will answer best. So, which to me is a kind of splitting hairs. Like if the end result is that you can talk to it and it answers you and like a real human would, then I think it's you could consider the whole thing one program, really.
What if?
But
what if the bot is actually a man in the middle attack itself, and it's got two researchers on both ends, and it's just feeding them their answers.
They're each other's, yeah.
And it's told both of them, hey, can you pass this Turing test? Here's your person.
That'd be new levels of trolling.
He did.
That's
say
how.
the
By the way,
guy-
that's. Sorry.
Blake did say that it reads Twitter, to which I thought, oh boy, here we go with another anti-Semitic
Tay,
bot
another
in the
Tay,
making.
yeah.
Another Tay.
But if it reads Twitter, it is not. It doesn't have a Twitter account. It might, but what I mean by that is it's not a public figure of sorts. Where Tay was very, very public. Tweet to Tay, and it will know and read your tags and ats and whatever. But like here, it's passively reading Twitter.
I also love the justification for why it's not why it shouldn't be escalated, because this was the kind of the core of the thing that happened with this Google employee, was that he kept on taking it to his management and they were like, we're not going to escalate this, because he had an ethical concerns about the whole thing, as far as I could tell.
Right.
And he kept on taking it to management, and then they wouldn't listen to him, and he's like, no, you need more evidence. So what happened was that he took it to some people outside of Google to create the evidence that would allow him to escalate it internally. And then he eventually did this, and he sent it to some VPs and SVPs, and they were, I think he said that they literally laughed in his face. And at that point, he said, oh, well, I'm just to let you know, I've already shared it with those other people and they agree with me, kind of thing. And that's why he's being suspended, because of the confidentiality breach.
I see.
On paper, at least. But he also wrote this thing about how it's happened to a bunch of other people. He's probably going to get fired. They've hired a lot of AI ethics researchers, which on the face of it seems kind of weird. Why are there so many AI ethics researchers getting... You would think that is not a good thing. Just, in general. For any
but I
kind
think
of
if you're trying to spawn a new form of conscious or sentience, like, you're going to breach some ethics, right? Like if you're... No, wait.
Company,
like, then why hire those people in the first place?
You're hiring those people, I feel like, as shields and protections, and also maybe to tell you you're stepping out of bound here. But then it sounds like they don't actually give a shit, so they just fire them anyway.
Coincidentally, by the way, Boris Johnson's ethics advisor has quit today because he was, because of concerns about the prime minister's
because Boris is an AI.
Yes, oh, good. It's
a really bad one. Really bad one.
Very bad. Oh, can you imagine?
Early model.
I think I'm conscious. I don't know. Still, what do you think, guys?
So yeah, it'll be interesting. Thanks, Peter. Good one. That was good. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out. It's also going to be interesting in the world of like Star Wars level stuff, where we're just going to have little droids walking around and they're sentient. You get angry and sad and happy.
So, in the culture novels, by Ian M. Banks, sadly no longer with us, he talks about AIs which are just AIs, and they are artificially intelligent, and they come across as being completely, you can talk to them like you would do this one, but then there are in the culture is managed or kind of overseen by these things called minds. And minds are true sentient beings, and they are, they kind of oversee entire planets, and they can split themselves off, and they can think in different dimensions and all sorts of crazy shit. But he does make that distinction. And maybe this is the first level. I don't know. I don't see the difference. I think if you can't tell the difference, they might as well be the same.
I do think it's like is a parrot as smart as a human for being able to talk back to you?
Stumped him.
Because they're mimicking sounds. They're mimicking they're mimicking what they've grown around, what they've grown up around. So you saying "Good morning, Frank" to your pet,
you can't have a full conversation.
And then Frank says "Good morning, Frank." Right.
Up until any further conversation, then within the limits.
But it also knows to nod its head to the beat of music because that's what it's been taught to do, right? Are you following me? Like we're really just at the higher level. We're at the higher levels of mimicking. It's just a mimic.
But if you could have a full conversation with a parrot, then I would say what's the difference? If you could have a kind of genuinely new insights coming from it,
because you're looking for self-awareness. Self-awareness is a fluke of evolution, first of all. and it
Right.
only exists because we believe it exists. And it's arrogant of us to think that we can create it elsewhere. And like you said, Peter, if we can, like, that's a fluke too, so who cares? Like, you
Yeah.
didn't say
Well,
it
that's
that
when
way,
the simulation. But that's when the simulation ends. That's when the simulation
No,
ends.
I
As
said
soon
it. I'll
as
take
we
credit for
create,
that.
as soon as we create
That's clever.
sentience, we've passed whatever overlord aliens are watching us as reality TV, and they just turn us off, start over. I think that's
Alright.
part of like the simulation theory, which is really
I
fun.
find the whole. I was going to say earlier, by the way, before we sign off, was the most convincing argument to me was that I think it was one of his supervisors said, "Well, it's not sentient because it's just following, like you were saying earlier, it was just following the interviewer's lead. If you asked it questions about being an ice cream dinosaur, then it would tell you all sorts of stories about feeling cold." Which I thought was like perfect. I thought, yeah, okay.
That's a good one, and I would love to know its answers.
Me too.
Yeah,
In fact, I think they should get it on Twitter and let us
I
ask
think
it
that's
things.
a terrible idea.
No,
But I
it's
do
great.
think that they should. I do think that they should provide copies that you could spin up. If you have the hardware. You have the hardware.
I wonder if you could
Is it
have a
still
male
an
and
AI
a
if you
female
can copy
one.
it? Then it's cloning,
Yeah, but you can clone humans.
not legally.
Yeah, and
Nobody does
let's
that.
not forget that we have other
You can
ways of
clone
creating
goats.
intelligence. You know, it takes a lot longer, but works after a few years.
Kind of. A younger generation.
Can we stop now?
Okay.
All right,
done yet?
that's enough. That's enough philosophical stuff.
Okay, not so philosophical update.